And I'm going to welcome our presenter to the stage. It's Ian Edwards, who is with the Maryland Department on Aging, and he heads up the Durable Medical Equipment Reuse Program, which we're going to learn about today. So Ian, if you want to turn your mic and camera on, we will get you up on the stage there. So well, Ian, I've been anticipating this discussion for quite some time. I know a lot of work went into this program because I think I've been talking to you and your colleagues about it for well over a year. Before we dive into the program, let's get to know you a little bit better. Tell us a little bit about your background and what led to your current role there running this program.
Sure. Thanks, Steve. And hi, everyone. Again, I'm Ian Edwards. Started my career in emergency medical services, slowly discovered the wonderful world of physical therapy, became a doctor of physical therapy and a clinical physical therapist, began interacting here and there with the Maryland Department of Aging, and learned about this idea of a durable medical equipment reuse program. And at the time, it was about a year and a half ago. They said, hey, we really have this great idea. We want to, we know there's this durable medical equipment out there that's not being used. At the same time, we know of individuals who could really use it. So we're hoping to put that together and build a program. So about a year and a half ago, they brought me on. It was an idea at the time. It was an idea for a couple of years before that. Secretary Rona Kramer, got this idea from a trip to Israel where they have a nationwide program. So she brought it back here. And since then, the program has grown. We built it to what it is. And we're hoping to, share more about it now, so the public knows about it and can use us.
Awesome. Okay, so let's see. I think that your background is perfect for this. So let's what I'm going to do is duck behind the curtain. I think you've got a PowerPoint that you're going to use to kind of walk through the program and what it's all about. I want to remind our audience that you can ask questions at any point in time by typing them in. And Ian, if you want to check in with me periodically, I'll let you know if anything came in. And really excited to learn about this program.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. Can you see my screen, Steve?
Yep.
Perfect. Great. Well, thanks everyone. Again, it's great to meet you virtually behind the curtain. Again, my name is Ian Edwards, the director of the Durable Medical Equipment Reuse Program. And today I'd like to share a little bit more detailed information about how our program works, the many great components of the program, how to access our program, and a bit more information. And again, like Steve said, if you have any questions, feel free to jump right in. I've given this presentation a few times more recently, so I tailored it to those questions that I commonly get. So it's likely that your question might be answered throughout, but again, just jump in if you have any questions. It's a fluid conversation today. So what do we do exactly? This is a first of its kind program where we collect donations of gently used or new durable medical equipment, home medical equipment, and mobility aids. We then sanitize and repair each item as needed, and then we provide them back to Maryland residents across the state. We serve residents with any illness, injury, or disability, regardless of their age. Though we're the Department of Aging, we do have some pediatric equipment and we don't have any age restrictions. So any Maryland resident of any age, and we provide our service at absolutely no cost at all. So there's two purposes of our program. The purpose is really twofold. There's the equipment distribution piece and the donation collection piece. The most obvious benefit of the program is providing medical equipment to residents in need. Our program is designed to help not only uninsured residents, but also individuals who have insurance but are experiencing delays in coverage, those who are in a waiting period between when they learn they need equipment and when they can actually get their hands on it, or even individuals who need equipment that may not be covered by their insurance at all. Our goal is to close that time gap and provide DME so they can improve their mobility, live safely at home, and even navigate the community or provide them the ability to work if that's what they wish to do. Now, early on, we knew that doing this and assisting Marylanders and improving their mobility would provide a great service. But what we didn't initially realize was the tremendous positive environmental impact we'd have with this program. When we started collecting donations, we realized that most of this equipment was on its way to the landfill And we played a role in diverting this DME from landfills by collecting it via donation and then reusing it. To date, we've collected over 200,000 pounds or over 100,000 cubic feet, which, so you can visualize this, imagine 7 standard 3-bedroom homes, then picture filling every room in all those homes from floor to ceiling with medical equipment. Now picture this much space underground. And this is how much space that how much waste that we've kept out of landfills in the form of durable medical equipment. And our hope again is to continue, keeping those values increasing steadily. So I've been mentioning them throughout this presentation, but what exactly is DME? DME stands for durable medical equipment, which is defined as equipment that 1, serves a medical purpose, 2, is durable, meaning it can withstand repeated use, and 3, is appropriate for use in the home, although many of the devices allow community navigation as well. So there are multiple common types of DME that we collect via donation and distribute. There's simpler equipment that we define as basic DME, and there's more advanced equipment that we call complex DME. The basic DME is the items that if you'd walk into a CVS or Walgreens that you'd commonly see there. Simpler items such as canes, crutches, walkers, rollators, shower equipment like shower chairs, tub transfer benches, toilet safety rails, bedside commodes, and then complex medical equipment, which we call complex for a couple reasons. Complex being that it requires a little bit more attention and customization to fit the individual. It's either a bulky or heavy item, or it's a little bit more complex and advanced to operate. Those items include home hospital beds, Hoyer lifts, commonly known as Hoyer lifts, mechanical lifts, patient lifts, all the same device, and then power chairs and power scooters. So now knowing what DME is, how does this program actually work? How do we operate? So once a donation is collected at one of our many donation collection locations around the state, it's eventually transported back to our reuse center. This is a 51,000 square foot warehouse we call our DMU headquarters or reuse center, which houses the majority of our operation. It's located in Cheltenham, Maryland, which is in Prince George's County. So again, all donated equipment is collected around the state and transported back to our headquarters where it's first sanitized. We sanitize each item to national standards using a 3-step sanitation process. The final step being a full cycle in one of our hub scrubs. Hub scrubs pictured here, I always say they look like spaceships. It looks like we're sending a wheelchair to the moon. We're keeping it here for Marylanders. This is actually called a hub scrub. It's a specialized durable medical equipment cleaning machine. It combines chemical and ultraviolet sanitation to clean and disinfect equipment using a wraparound high pressure spray system. So, we developed our sanitation protocol during the pandemic and we're maintaining the same procedures throughout. So a very thorough sanitation process. So following sanitation, equipment is then inspected for safety and general function and is repaired if needed. And even if we get devices that, might have a faulty, one piece that might be faulty, we're still able to break down equipment for parts. We keep those pieces and then we'll put together a full, we'll use those pieces to combine and make fully functional devices. Next, equipment is matched to its happy owner. Here's a few of our recent happy clients using their new devices, at our reuse center and out in the public as well. So once we provide a piece of equipment to its new owner, we want to ensure they're able to use it safely. Far too often in physical therapy, individuals, end up putting that walker or that cane or that crutch in the closet or in the attic or in the garage simply because they don't know how to use it or they don't know how to use it safely. So to mitigate that, we've built a mock bedroom and bathroom setup at our reuse center for those individuals who can make it directly to us, where individuals can try out their device in a safe environment before taking it home. And as an additional means of providing more direction when using each type of equipment, and one of our ways to provide some of this education during the pandemic, we also provide hard copies of instructional material and make videos available on how to use each device safely, proper maintenance on the devices, and how to make minor adjustments and more. So these are attached to every device we distribute. Again, it's a text version of instruction sheets and then a video sheet that contains links and QR codes that can be scanned with a smartphone, or we can send electronic versions of that through email so individuals can link directly to videos if they prefer that over reading the instructional text. So as I noted, the hub of our operation, which we call the reuse center, is in Prince George's County. Our goal is to make this service available across the state for both donation collection and distribution. So to do this, we've set donation collection containers at various county landfills, represented here by the blue icons. This is where residents can drop off equipment donations at a more convenient location rather than coming all the way to us. We've also set up what we call satellite sites, represented here by the yellow and red icons, which are extensions of our program at partner institutions, where residents can both drop off donations or pick up equipment for use. A detailed list of the sites currently open and each site's unique operating hours can be found on our DME webpage on the Department of Aging website, which I'll link in the final slide here. Now that you know a little bit more about the program, what's the actual request process like? So the first step is determining who is eligible. The recipient or the beneficiary of the equipment must be a Maryland resident. That's really our one main restriction. Again, we provide DME to Maryland residents with any injury, illness, medical status, disability, regardless of their age and at no cost. However, since our program relies solely on donations, we do have a limited inventory of equipment. And as such, we prefer that our services are reserved for individuals who've exhausted other means of attaining DME. So in other words, if an individual has insurance coverage, we ask that they first attempt to attain DME through that insurance provider. And then, if there's that gap period or if they're unable to attain it, then request equipment from our program and we're happy to help. Because again, if there's, like I said, that gap, whether they're completely uninsured or not, just take the normal steps to attain it and then reach out to us. Because our goal is to support Marylanders and continue to be able to do so in the future with a continual inventory of equipment.
Hey, Ian, you may cover this here shortly, but I thought it's a really good question from Sydney, who says, will you come and pick up equipment from people who are not able to get it to a drop-off site?
Sure, great question. And I will hit that later, but it's a good time to actually stop and talk about that now. We are able to pick up equipment donations. We're currently a small team and we have limited resources, but we have these collection sites for individuals can transport, the equipment or the smaller, lighter equipment that can typically fit in cars or, small vehicles. But though we do understand some of those heavier items like hospital beds and power chairs, they're very heavy. They can be up to a couple 100 pounds and they're bulky and hard to fit. So we are able to provide direct pickup of donations. Only limitation is that just for safety and liability reasons, we're not able to enter any buildings or homes. So as long as that equipment can be left at any outdoor space, you just give us a call, tell us what you're looking to donate, give us, address and contact information. Our scheduler will then reach out to you, let you know, work with you to find a time to where you can get that equipment outside. We'll give you an hour or so time window and we'll come by and scoop up the device and we can provide a donation receipt as well. On the other hand, which I'll get into here in this slide, is accepting equipment. One of our biggest restrictions with the program is we don't have the resources to provide direct delivery and setup. The goal of mitigating this is having those satellite sites. So essentially what we'll do is if we receive a request, John Doe in Baltimore City says, hey, I could really use, a wheelchair and a cane. We will then intake all the request forms. We'll transport that wheelchair and cane to Baltimore City, where John Doe can pick up at our Baltimore City site, because it's right down the street from him rather than driving the hour down to Prince George's County. But I'll get into a little bit more detail here on this slide. So once an individual who needs DME is identified, they're a Maryland resident, they're uninsured or they just can't obtain it from their insurance company, or they're approved by insurance, but it might take a whole 2 months and they could use it yesterday. The first step is to contact our program via phone or email to receive the appropriate request form. This is our current version. We're hoping that our forms will soon be online for a full online version. But again, we can always, send a hard copy in the mail or over the email as well. So with these request forms, we have two types. One form, as I said, is for the basic DME, those simpler items that you'd see at a CVS or Walgreens. And then there's another form for the complex medical equipment, like hospital beds, power chairs, manual wheelchairs, patient lifts. The only difference between these forms is that the complex request form requires the participant's healthcare professional to complete a section of the form. This section is required and it's very important to us because it helps us determine which type of equipment is needed, and it ensures that the appropriate type and sizing of equipment is requested. And this ensures, there's appropriate follow-up on training as well. And most of the time, some of this DME, as you get into the more complex DME, most individuals don't know the difference between a power scooter and a power chair and when it's necessary. And that's where we like to get the medical team involved, who has a better, relationship with this individual and really knows them. And a lot of times too, any care providing team we will work with and we'll contact and coordinate with to find the right device. So again, reach out to us via email or phone to receive a request form. And then once a request form is received back to us, we receive them back in email or mail in the same format. We'll then reach out to the requester directly to inform them if they have the requested equipment in stock and to set up a pickup appointment at the most convenient location for them. So for the sake of keeping the presentation brief and allowing time for some questions, our service is now available. So if you know any individuals who may wish to donate or receive equipment from our program now or in the future, please encourage them to contact our program directly or visit our DME webpage on the Department of Aging website. And with that, thank you so much for your time and attention and the opportunity to share more about the program. And I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have.
I love it. And we do have a few questions, but I think one of the reasons I was so excited to hear about this program, and my hope is that every state replicates this in one way, shape, or form, is that it's, I regularly visit senior living communities, and sometimes I'll park in the parking garage, and there will literally be like a 20 by 20 square foot pile of walkers and medical equipment, just hidden away there. And the ability to, if just one of those devices could be fixed and put together so that somebody needs it or not end up in a landfill, that would be amazing. And I think, Ryan, like we received an email earlier this morning about a program in Howard County for families with disabled children. I think that I think one of the things, there are some great loan closet programs in communities all over the place. It's hard to find out where those exist often. And, so the value of a statewide program and the benefit of, taking a walker and wheelchair maybe from Washington County that could now be provided to somebody on the Eastern Shore, there's a huge value in that as well.
And two great points there, Steve. First, in those facilities, early on when we were developing the program and really looking at if this program would work, and that's one thing that we really base this off of, is we know that there's facilities out there that, whether it's when an individual, a resident passes or, they move out for any reason, a lot of times that equipment is left there in the facility. We understand they have space limitations and the only thing they can do is get a roll off and get rid of it or, try to give it away. A lot of times they end up with that equipment, and we hope that, if there's a bulk amount of equipment, just give us a call. We'll do a direct pickup and fill up our whole truck with it and take it off and see what we can reuse. And on the other hand, other DME programs, early on, we had to be really careful because we know there are many loan closets out there. There's a loan closet of Howard County, many of the Rotaries and Lions clubs. And we wanted to ensure that, we weren't on any toes, and we wanted to, set ourselves up as a supportive program. We just know that there are programs out there, but there's still a significant need. So we're connected with a lot of those programs, and those connections are still ongoing, and we're looking to connect with everyone we can. That way, if for some reason we can't provide it, or if there's a limitation, whether it's transportation, we can then network with that program to help that individual and get it from a local loan closet.
And I expected this. We've had several questions from folks, Karen, and let's see who else. Karen, on other programs in Virginia and DC and other jurisdictions. I did a little bit of research to try to find some other mid-Atlantic programs, and it was kind of difficult. I did find this one in Virginia, which I dropped into chat, the Virginia Assistive Technology program. But I believe when I went and looked to see if they had a Northern Virginia drop off, the closest is Winchester, Virginia. So if anybody in chat is aware of programs in DC, Virginia, or other jurisdictions, drop them into chat. This is one of the great things about these discussions. Okay, let's see. Would this program apply to an individual who just received a wheelchair from an insurance company, but would also benefit from a walker? So the person could use this program to get the walker since the insurance won't cover both.
Absolutely. And a lot of times we see that an individual, especially, if it's a transfer from a facility to home, they just want to, recover at home or live at home. A lot of times they might need a hospital bed, a Hoyer lift, a wheelchair, and a walker that way can truly navigate the home, but they might only get the hospital bed and the walker, but they could really benefit from a Hoyer lift and a wheelchair. Just throwing an example out there, we're happy to help in those cases. And we understand that, sometimes you might not get everything that you might benefit from, and that's what we're hoping to help with. And at the same time, we have some individuals who say, I could use these 7 devices. We say, okay, great. Have you tried insurance? What will they cover? If not, we'll take care of for you. So happy to help in those cases. Absolutely.
I love it. Thanks for that question, Monique. And Victoria asks, can you accept an installed stair lift if disengaged from the home setting? Yeah, how do you work with stair lifts?
Sure, great question. Stair lifts is one item that we're not working with currently, especially during the pandemic. It requires us to enter homes and buildings, which we're not able to do, both to uninstall and reinstall. Other limitation is that so many times stair lifts are uniquely customized to a specific set of stairs, whether it's how high it is, how long the length of the stairs is. So stair lifts is something that we're not working with, and we often get donation offers for them, and we struggle to find where exactly to go. A lot of the stair lift vendors and installers used to accept them. More recently, we're finding that that they're not, but many times, we'll reach out to, it's a lot of times stair lift and ramp builders or vendors will reach out to and see if they can help or accept in any way.
Yeah, that really is probably one of those products that by the time you retrofit it to another house, you probably would have been better off just purchasing one new. But it's good to that it's something on your radar. Victoria asks, can a family member pick up equipment for non-seniors? So how tight is this age restriction? Let's say somebody's 45 years old and they've got a disability and there's a product there that could help them.
Sure, great question. And actually, we have no age restriction. So whether someone is 5, 15, 45, 75, we're happy to help anyone. And our form breaks it down so there can be really 3 different individuals listed on the form. So there's the beneficiary, which is the patient or the individual who needs the equipment, using the equipment. So the person lying on the hospital bed, using the wheelchair, the walker. Someone else can request on their behalf as well. We call the requester. So that can be, the individual, the user, the beneficiary themselves, or it can be a family member or a caregiver. Just how our form is set up. Essentially, whoever fills out and requests that form and signs the waiver takes ownership of the equipment. But there's also a section on there that says pickup person. So we understand sometimes if it is an older adult, their son or daughter might be filling out the form as the requester, but then, they might not have the means to pick it up or might not be able to lift that wheelchair into their car. So, their niece or nephew might be listed as the pickup person. So it can be all 3 different people that can pick up and request on behalf of an individual. No age restrictions at all for who can receive equipment.
Great. And I copied Krista Kramer's into chat for everybody. She says DME redistribution is one of the services provided by every state's assistive technology project. Idaho collaborates with independent living centers and area agencies on aging to collect equipment, and there's a statewide website listing the equipment available. And Denise Schuler says most states do have a DME reuse program here. Okay, so good. She gave the Virginia contact information. Allison Lynch asks, who pays for this program? Is it billed through insurance?
Sure, it's not billed at all. It's a state-funded, state provided program. So our State Department of Aging program, and again, no billing at all. Equipment is free. And in terms of the AT programs, that's a great point and a great question. I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't remember who brought that up, but every state does have an assistive technology reuse program. The Maryland Department of Disabilities hosts MDTAP, Maryland's assistive technology program. Sorry, Denise, I'm going to call you out here. Denise is a great contact there, and it's a great program that we work with directly for, for the equipment that they're not able to provide, some of those bigger advanced durable medical equipment we're happy to provide, and we kind of help refer individuals back and forth. And every state does have an AT reuse program. It's a federal program. Again, some here and there work with some of that bigger medical equipment, but again, like we said, in Maryland, we identified that there's a true need, and that's how we came to be.
Great. And then Melissa, if everybody looks at chat, you can learn about the DC Shares. DC Shares is a durable medical equipment recycling program, and she's put the contact info in there for DC, as well as, let's see, Denise Schuler. This is awesome, guys. These are great resources. I'm going to copy the assistive reuse that Krista dropped in there. And then, Krista and Ruth Jenkins ask, what is your primary source of funding and who pays for your staff?
Again, we're just a state funded program. So, we receive state funds. We work with a contractor, Maryland Environmental Service, who provides a lot of our backup housework, the transportation and the sanitation. But again, just a state funded program.
Okay, great. And then let's see, Tom Batchko says, I live in Pennsylvania. How do I find durable medical equipment for this state? There's some very resourceful people in the audience, Tom. So I bet you within a few minutes, you're going to see a link to some programs in PA. All right, somebody says Operation Match, Assistive Technology and Durable Medical Equipment Program. This is a question. This is a national program. Sometimes Easter Seals seems to be participating in these kinds of programs also. Are you familiar with Operation Match?
Not directly, though we do work. Easter Seals is actually one of our satellite sites. We know that they had a small loan closet, but since they become one of our satellite sites, we provide a lot of the equipment, but that's our satellite site in Silver Spring, Maryland, in Montgomery County. Other than that, not overly familiar with that program.
Okay, and this is a great one from Melissa, who's with Handy Pro, which is a remodeling company that does safe and accessible homes in the DC metro area. And she says that they can work to partner with Ian and his team. They do take used stair lifts and repurpose them. So folks, Melissa, make sure you drop your contact information into chat, because if there's anybody on this call that has a stair lift that they're looking to get out of their house, you're a great organization to know if you want to install them or take them out and try to find a repurpose for them. Ruth asks, the warehouse space is the warehouse space leased, or does it belong to the county and state? And do you use any volunteers for your program?
Great questions. It's a state warehouse. It used to be the old tobacco warehouse in Prince George's County. We took it over and just remodeled it for our use. And we haven't been taking volunteers through the pandemic just with fears, but that's something we're looking into, and be happy to talk further if you could send your contact information. We'd love to start getting volunteers in. Absolutely.
Okay, you piqued my curiosity on that one. Is that what is the state doing owning a tobacco warehouse?
It was only a tobacco warehouse for some time. It was called the Tobacco Warehouse. It was built in 1971. I believe it was only the tobacco warehouse for less than a decade. Since then, it's been a storage facility, a farmer's market for the county, but it's a state building that's been empty for a while until we took it over. We're looking from the Department of Agriculture, who's been kind enough to let us take over the space.
Great. No, that's funny. Yeah, back in the 70s, I don't know. I guess they were, since there's such a tax on cigarettes, they were probably shipping cigarettes there and doing something with them. That's interesting. Okay, well, man, very thorough presentation there, Ian. And once again, the audience has really delivered a ton of great questions. Um, and this always happens when I start to wind things down. That's when folks throw in even more good questions. So I want you to be thinking about your closing statements, Ian, and how folks can help and help your program. But we got a few more that came in here. Wanda says, if your staff cannot deliver or set up devices, do you work with families or individual to find someone who can? How would a family find someone to do this, especially if you are hundreds of miles from the center? Yeah, good question. And Wanda, we can also at Positive Aging Sourcebook help connect you with people like Handy Pro that might be able to assist. You might have to pay for it, but they could assist you with setting things up.
Great. And we do, and our goal now is to work with as many, local, private, public vendors that we can. We've been talking with some of the Rotaries and Lions Clubs who, have been able to help with some of that transportation to and from. But, if you give us a call, tell us your need, we'll try to, work it out with you there, or refer you to the right individuals, or help connect you or connect internally. But, we do our best not to turn anyone away. But again, if you want to start with us, make sure we have what you need first. And then from there, we'll work on the transportation piece.
That's great. And Gabby says, is there anyone on your team that speaks Spanish?
There's not, but we have through the state, we have abilities to connect with translators.
Okay. Amanda asked, this is really good because they tend to call these places loan closet. She says, is the DME for permanent use or is it for loan?
Great question. It's not for loan. So essentially, when we provide an item, it is yours to keep. It is now your property. We just ask kindly that if you no longer need the equipment, you please redonate it to us at one of our sites. That way we can help another Marylander.
I love it. And then what is the usual turnaround time to Denise asked the turnaround time to get an item. So if I call up and I need a wheelchair and you say you've got it, how soon can we come to pick that up?
Great question. So once you receive a form, we just ask for 24 to 48 hours to process. Usually it's shorter. It's closer to the 24-hour end to process the form and make sure we have it in inventory. And it all depends on what location is most convenient to you. At the longest time, it would be 13 days, just if we visit some of our further sites once every 2 weeks. So at the longest, 13 days. At the shortest, if you're able to come to our warehouse, or if it happens to be, on one of the same days that we're transporting the items, you can be as short as 24 to 48 hours.
Great. And then Janet asks, will you pick up equipment in DC? I'm pretty confident that you won't cross state lines to pick up equipment. However, somebody in DC or Virginia could drop off equipment, correct?
That's right, we can, correct. And we have ventured a little bit further outside the state lines when we happen to be in the area. But again, just give us a call and we'll see if we can get you on the schedule and it's something we can transport.
And this is Victoria says, I have a friend in North Arlington that has a brand new but heavily motorized wheelchair that needs pickup. Okay for her to call your folks for pickup? That's in Arlington, Virginia. I'm glad you threw that out there, Victoria, because there might be somebody on this call that, could benefit from that wheelchair. But Ian, obviously that's that could be a great device for you all. Could you potentially try to make arrangements for somebody in Arlington to get that to one of your sites easily?
Yeah, we potentially could. And a lot of times what we do, if it's somewhere that's a little bit further outside of our normal routes, we'll do our best to try to connect with, some of the Virginia programs we're similar with. Or again, like you mentioned, Steve, that's a great point, because sometimes, an individual will call and say, hey, I have this power chair. We'll say, okay, great. We'll be there, next Monday to pick it up. We'll call to confirm, and they'll say, actually a neighbor needed it. And that's fine to us. If along the route you find someone that can intercept the device, all we're trying to do is find, get the device in the right hands for someone who needs it, and we're not offended at all. So if this draws the right person that finds the chair's a good fit, great. If not, yeah, please give us a call, and I'm sure we can find a way to get to Arlington.
I love it. And then before we, wrap this discussion up, and this gives folks an opportunity to throw in other additional comments, I think you had mentioned that your background is occupational therapy, correct?
Physical therapy.
Oh, physical therapy. But we've had two discussions. One was on the vices of mobility devices, and the other one is medical equipment. One size definitely doesn't fit all. And you talked about this a little bit in the beginning, and I think your setup there in one of your centers is really great. The experts have told me that, you know, one of the challenges is people will go out and they will, you know, purchase a piece of medical equipment off Amazon, or they'll take it from a neighbor, and the unfortunate thing is that if it's not set up correctly, if it doesn't fit the person that's using it, if it's cheap and it's not strong enough to withstand the weight of the person that's using it, oftentimes this device that's supposed to help you can actually be something that can create injuries or result in a fall. Any sort of words of wisdom on kind of on that, Ian?
Absolutely, and that's a great point. And that was during the pandemic one of the biggest ideas we had to wrestle with, and mostly because we couldn't have that face-to-face contact. And even now, it's difficult to get face-to-face with anyone. But that's really why we separate the items into basic and complex DME. We know those basic items are so easy to get that if someone wants it, they're going to go to Amazon or CVS or Walgreens to get. And on the other hand, we wanted to make it a little more accessible for individuals who are completely uninsured and can't access a healthcare provider. But for that complex equipment, we do have our stringent rules on requiring a healthcare provider, and only certain healthcare providers. So example, PT, OT, MD, PA, we don't require any RNs or anyone. We want to make sure that the healthcare provider takes time to think about that patient, make sure that the sizing is correct. And many of the times a PT will submit a form or OT, and I'll just get on the phone and I'll say, hey, what's the exact seat depth, seat width? What features are you looking for in the chair? So really try to get as close as we can to the chair that's going to fit right. We collect, the height and weight of the patient to ensure that, that their weight doesn't exceed the weight capacity of the item. And then from there, that's why we get the healthcare provider involved, to make sure that it's the right choice for the device. And then once they receive the device, the training has already been, training has already been provided, or that there will be proper training after they receive the device. And again, that's a restriction because it takes some time for some individuals to get that assessment or signature from the healthcare provider, but it's extremely important to mitigate that risk and make sure that it's the right equipment and it's not going to hinder them or, cause any harm or increase that chance of falling in any way.
Okay, great. And then let's see, Lola jumped on late and she said, I probably missed the answer, but what does one need to qualify to request equipment? If you can just state that again, Ian.
Sure. If you're a Maryland resident, you're eligible. So again, just so contact us to receive the right request form. That request form will soon be online. Then submit the request form. If it's that complex equipment, it'll require a healthcare provider's signature and some of their information. And then we'll reach out, have more conversation if needed on choosing the right device, let you know what's in stock, and then coordinate the pickup time. But again, any Maryland resident is eligible.
I love it.
And I thought I mentioned Maryland MD TAP, the Assistive Technology Program in Maryland. I wanted to make sure I didn't misspeak. It's you, Denise Schuler here is representing MD TAP. MD TAP works a little bit differently. They usually coordinate individuals who need it. They don't usually hold on to the AT themselves, but just wanted to clarify that. Don't want to misspeak for the other MD TAP program.
Okay, excellent. Well, this has been great, Ian. Keep in touch and let us know if we can help you out, but I'm really excited that the Department on Aging and the state has put together this program. And I hope folks in the audience spread the word about this. And if you're in a community or if you're in a setting where you see a pile of durable medical equipment, let that organization know. And if any of your clients are out there or your loved ones are out there, and especially if they're on a fixed income and they could really use a piece of medical equipment, by all means, reach out and let's get this stuff in the hands of the people that need it.
Absolutely, well said. And thank you all for your time and attention and the great questions. And Steve, thanks so much for having me, for everything you do and giving me the opportunity to share the program.
Awesome. Okay, we'll talk to you all soon.